past memories. It garbles feelings. It causes you to feel irritated out of the blue. It causes a great many things. This is part of the beast technology. It's not simply something you wear to identify you and say, yep, you can go to the bank and this, that, and the other. No, it's far more than that. Far more. They have tested to the degree they took an unhealthy person with chronic pain, transmitted the patterns or thoughts or feelings of a healthy person, and the person who had pain, their pain went away. Their pain went away. Why? Because the receptors changed their perception. Remember I told you guys, perception is everything. If you think you're in pain, your body produces a pain signal. You know, it's no mystery that people can go to the dentist and they can change the way you interpret pain. Instead of pain, they can make you smell strawberries. Instead of pain, they can evoke creativity in your mind so you never perceive dental work painful. They alter the way you perceive the pain, and it works. It works effectively. Pain is a protection mechanism in the body. It's up to the individual, how they process it. And how they process it is based upon a person's faith. Remember I told you they know exactly who is who? They know the limits of your faith by these small things. That's the capability of your body. You are in control of your body. But if you don't believe you're in control, you have zero control of your body. It's automated. You can take control of different systems of your body. That only happens through your faith. If you believe something, your body responds to it. Your body makes the necessary changes to accommodate your spirit. If you believe it. If you don't believe something, then your body's left to the devices of this world. That's why you can cut your finger or have a bad wound, but if you don't know that wound is there, your body does not perceive it yet. As soon as you look at the wound, pain starts to shoot out of nowhere. See, because you didn't pay attention to it, your body processed that a different way. Pain is a signal. It's not actual pain, it's a warning signal. Do you guys understand that? You see, if your neurons begin to transmit a different signal, nobody would perceive pain. Not one soul would perceive pain as pain. But it's a warning signal. The body has a mechanism in it to protect itself, to give you a cue to pay attention to a hurt member. That's the protection mechanism in the body. They know that everybody has the ability to change their perception. And this technology has already made that possible in a great many people, and it works for the opposite effect. They can induce pain where there is no pain. They can cause you to have phantom pain. This technology works two ways. This will be put in and by the way, due to the advances in nanotechnology, a tattoo can hold all the receptors needed for transmission and receiving directly to your neurological systems. You see, electronic devices are in a container, right? Listen to me, they're in a container. It's nothing but silicone spaced in different ways, silicone and germanium, conductors and so forth. But if they had a material of silicone and germanium and they tattooed that on you, there's no need for a container. You become the container. You effectively become intertwined with the technology. It's just a tattoo. But because they're tattooing you with raw materials, it's not a visible tattoo. It's not a visible tattoo. But your body absorbs it, but it stays contained in one central area. In other words, people who are in fact tattooed with this stuff, it's not the tattoo you would think.
Astonishing dexterity, a monkey.
They've had patches they put on people. In 24 hours, they remove the patch, and the elements are then they're grown into the skin. They become part of your skin. Your skin, being the biggest organ, is the beginning of the sensory pathways. So your skin becomes the device itself. Nobody knows you have the mark, but every time you get near technology, you can interface with it without words. So you don't have to speak with this technology. Nothing has to be heard. You can effectively communicate with another just by thought alone. You don't have to use words. That's why quadriplegics are no longer quadriplegics. That's why blind people have sight. Not only sight, but they can increase the spectrum of what a person can see by bypassing the visual cortex, the optic nerve, and so forth. They can send the signals directly to the brain. The information allows a person to see in very high definition with depth. That same technology is also used right now to allow others to see in different light spectrums.
And the arm itself orients very nicely to this doorknob so that we can twist it.
This is all that connects the monkey's
What's going to
brain
happen?
the robot. A tiny plate just 4
No, not
across,
voice to the skull.
100 electrodes, each finer.
You see, when you hear something, listen to me, when you hear something, it stimulates neurons. The key is neurons. It stimulates neurons. It sends the signals to your brain. The brain then figures out what the neurons are communicating. Optic nerve the same way. All of it, eventually, your eyes and your ears are sensor devices. Think of them as sensor devices, much like a microphone. Information or camera lens. Even an electronic device is sent to a peripheral and then is translated into binary code so the processor can do its thing. Then you have usable data, or data chunks of which to transfer into whatever you want to do. They don't need to use your ear. They don't need to use your optic nerve. They can communicate directly to your brain. Directly into your brain. They know the language of your neurons. So they can communicate it and bypass the optic nerve going directly to the brain. The brain knows what to do with the information because it's already familiar with the information. See, as you were growing up, and when a blind person sees for the first time, that within itself is a feat of engineering. Because their optic nerve, in effect, has never processed visual information. Somehow the brain automatically knows how to process visual information. And it does. They bypass the optic nerve. In some cases, they have re-stimulated the optic nerve, and the person is no longer blind. They can see in many spectrums a very different way than you do. They can cause a person to see with X-ray vision. Different light spectrums, infrared, different light spectrum. This is just a portion of the technology, but it is a highlight of the technology that's being used. That's further being perfected. Now they have nano devices without the casing that does the same job. Now your cell phone, everybody's cell phone, the processor does not work at 100%. Just sending a text message, processing a phone call. doing this, that, and the other. It does not work at 100% doing that. Your cell phone, the ones today, are thinking devices. They're thinking, processing, crunching numbers. That information is collected. Cell phone companies have this data. And to the cell phone company, people who run the place, is unusable data. But all that data is kept and crunched in different locations. They can grab that information right out of the air. Believe me, everything is being used to refine TBI systems, MPCI systems, and TMS systems. Which is why they have bionic limbs for people now, which is why they have exoskeletons for people. Which is why quadriplegics can now walk and move around and everything else. That's only possible if you can figure out the language of neurons. You can only re-stimulate neurological connections if you know the language in the first place. It's already happened. So they already know. Here's something else that's been happening that a lot of people don't know. Now, we've had technology for quite some time. We've developed a habit. We have, in effect, evolved a way that we think, and nobody's really aware of it. There's a reason why young children operate differently than you did. You see, when we were growing up, when I was growing up, and you're sitting here looking at black and white television, and phones were nothing like they were today. Everything was very simple, right? But it wasn't difficult for us to operate any of these devices because our parents were out there. They experienced this technology. What nobody ever figures out is that what we learn is passed down to our children. They improve upon what we learn. You see, one blood cell holds a great amount of your memories and your personality and what you know and everything else. A lot of people don't know that. One blood cell holds that information of you. It has the DNA of you. So when you have a child with all this technology introduced, they have a natural instinctive awareness of the technology. In fact, they can work a smartphone before they can tie their shoes. They can work a Kindle before they can tie their shoes. They know how to use the electronic devices. They understand the symbology of the electronic device. Now, many people are aware that we moved away from words to icons. We've moved into a world of iconography. The language is changing. Pretty soon in the future, there'll probably be no words. It's going to be hieroglyphs again. In the past, they used hieroglyphs, which stood for many different things. We're going to do the same thing again. We're moving away from words. You comprehend much faster with imagery than you do just by reading a word. And for kids, reading words becomes useless and senseless. They look for the icon. They know what it means. One icon can hold much more information, is processed much faster. It's by the coordination of the children. It's much, much higher than our coordination. But they're relying on an external system that we just simply don't have. The coordination of children in the computer world is off the charts. It's off the charts. Why? Because they grew up.